Welcome or welcome back to TOTORIAL. I'm Zui and I hope you enjoyed today's video. But before we get right into it, I'm obligated to remind you to click either the like or dislike button, commenting something down below, and of course sharing the video so more people can see and enjoy it. This is very important as it helps with the YouTube algorithm. I want you to know that your help is greatly appreciated. If you have any suggestions or ideas for a story, my Discord link is in my link tree that is down in the description, as well as my Patreon and Ko-fi for any donations you may want to send my way. Every cent counts. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Izuku Midoriya sat on his living room couch, going through photos his daughter Ivanako had sent him. Midoriya's daughter was at high school, more specifically UA. The pro hero couldn't have been prouder of his little girl. Sadly though, due to her quirk being a late bloomer, only having manifested when she turned 10, her little body didn't quite adjust to its changes just yet. So she needed to contain her true potential. Because of that handicap, she only managed to get into class 1B. But he didn't mind. Honestly, he didn't really care. What are you looking at? Hero, your class B daughter? Must feel like a bitch having a B class daughter when you yourself were a class A. You must feel like shit. A cold shower washed over the green-haired man. That was Monomoa. Izuku didn't even look at him. Hello? Have you gone deaf? The blonde prick stayed behind him for another 5 minutes, trying to insult a response out of him. But nothing. Shrugging, the intruder left into the bedroom. As Deku looked after him, he growled. The guy didn't even bother putting on underwear. Well, that certainly ruined his evening. Seconds later, his wife, Uraka, appeared from the kitchen. She luckily bothered putting on panties and a bra. Hey, Deku. Why him? She blinked. I mean, seriously. He pointed at the bedroom door. Like, everyone would have been better. Uraka scoffed. There was no use in fighting. Angrily, Izuku got on his feet and walked up to his home's door. Where are you going? You can join us, you know. He bit his lower lip for a moment. Considering it for a moment. However, then the door opened on its own. It was none other than Bakaru Katsuki, Izuku's best friend, and a rival pro hero. The man was already tearing open a pack of condoms. Since when do you have a key for our house? Stuttered Izuku. Oh, I gave him one since he is here so often. Moin her so often, eh? What's up, Deku? One last time, Deku gave Uraka an angry scowl, before pushing past his so-called friend. Frustrated, the man walked to his car and sat down in the driver's seat. He refused to cry. He definitely should not cry. He was used to this. Quietly, he pulled out his phone, opening his contacts. The man was looking for a name. Your name. He sighed in relief when the message went through. Thank God. Deku needed you right now. It happened 2 years ago, or maybe 3. Midoriya was mentally in a really bad place. His mother was in the hospital. Nothing major, just a broken leg. However, at the same time, Ivanako got measles. And worst of all, he had been sent to Germany for an advanced combat exercise with the top heroes of Japan and the main German hero agency and minor government body, Schicksal. During these 2 months, his wife, Ochako Uraka, had committed adultery. With whom, the man didn't know. The obvious answer after such a betrayal was divorce, but neither him nor Uraka could really handle such a public eruption. Plus, there still was Ivanako. Instead, Uraka had come up with an incredibly selfish idea, and sadly the broken man agreed to it, to declare their marriage as open. This way, the public would call them a progressive couple and praise their decision, which certainly increased the amount of positivity and publicity for the two of them. Mostly Uraka. While she was called empowered and independent, strong, he just became her cuck. Mostly due to her having men lined up at their door, while he was walking the darkened streets all alone. Well, at least until he met you. He had been kicked out of his own house by 4 men and was drinking away in a seedy bar in the Port District. The port was ruled by the creatively named Port Mafia, a dangerous group of villains that had become a bitter rival to the remnants of the Supernatural Liberation Front. However, the Mafia understood rules and wasn't interested in politics. Like the Front. They only cared about money. Hence why there had been an unwritten truce between them and the heroes. It was simple, really. You heroes stay away from the Port District and let us handle things, and no one gets hurt. That much. Honestly, the heroes were just glad that the 2 major villain factions were killing each other on their own without their interference. There, in this seedy bar, he watched you perform. It was a simple jazz song, accompanied by a piano and a saxophone. He couldn't help but be enchanted by you. It was the same feeling he had when he first interacted with Ochako at UA, but more intense, more sexual. As you finished your song, the bar erupted in applause, as you bowed to the men that had been ogling you. How you ended up here was a mystery to you. If someone had told you you'd be singing for the worst scum of the planet when you became an adult, you would have gotten mad. Maybe even cried. But by now, all your dreams had faded. The only thing slightly enhancing your boring life was the applause of men who, if it wasn't for Ollie the bouncer, would probably all jump on stage and turn you into their personal plaything. That night, when Deku just happened to be there, someone in the crowd made a move on you. As you retreated into your changing room to switch from the Mafia-owned cocktail dress into your regular clothes, a giant of a man took the opportunity, as Ollie the bouncer had his toilet break, to enter right behind you. He pushed you against your mirror, teared off your shirt and underwear. And just then Izuku kicked down the door, having seen the entire thing. His hero sense of duty pushing him forward. And with a single jab at 100% of his power to the man's neck, he was knocked out. After that, the 2 of you met up a week later. You were thankful, and he was just glad to have a distraction from his horrible home life. Of course, the romance between the 2 of you didn't start immediately. Both because he was afraid of making the first step, and, well, you because of the bar and your singing. So for a time he just came for your performances. You felt safer when he was there. And Izuku even occasionally chatted with other patrons, making friends. But most importantly, he talked to your bodyguard Ollie, who needed to know that he was with you, or at least a friend. Otherwise the hero would probably get beaten up quite bad by the guy. Izuku smiled as he saw the notification on his phone that you replied. "Hey hero, what's up?" you typed. A strange feeling of melancholy overcame him whenever he read your texts. "It is happening again," he typed. And you smiled as you read his text. Izuku was such a cutie, but when it was something other than hero work, he could be such a baby. Considering in the past, whenever Oracle kicked him out, he'd show up at your door, unannounced, cry and cry and cry. So this change was quite pleasant. "Do you have..." The text ended there, and for another 5 minutes the chat was unmoving. Meanwhile, you got up from your bed and began getting dressed. You lived in a tiny apartment up above the bar, courtesy of the Port Mafia. Seems as if your singing enchanted them, or at least was to the liking of a high-ranking member. Either way, there was no direct connection from the bar to the apartment through some back room. While silly, it made this place feel a little safer. You picked up a few clothing articles and threw them into the wash bin to tidy up a little. You should really end this habit of just throwing stuff off of you and then leaving it, often for days. Finally, you heard the notification ding. 2 days? You blinked. Wait, what? You be staying for 2 days? That was your response. You felt stupid. That sounded harsher than it was. When she parties like she does now, it'll take a while, he wrote. Of course, you knew of his living arrangements. You sighed heavily. And typed, "You should ditch her already." 20 seconds later, you replied, "I'll do it, promise, but only when my daughter's out of UA. I don't want her to worry for as long as she goes to school." You sighed as you began sweeping your floor. You really weren't a homemaker, were you? Dirty apartment, eating fast food all the time. How could you allow your apartment to wither like this? Minutes later, your phone went off again. "I'm on my way." You sighed and continued cleaning. Deku lived in that preppy suburb that had been built about 10 years ago. Most heroes in the top 20 lived there, plus a few super rich people who loved the feeling of safety they got from it. So it would take him a while to arrive. Quickly and quietly you opened your windows. The cool sea air from the port slowly wafted inside. You so rarely opened them. Mostly to forget the world outside. To you it was just grey with a bleak horizon, save for the ocean's polluted waters. That was black. Honestly, you just wanted to get the stale air out before Deku would arrive. Leaning over the windowsill, you watched passers-by and cars, until a certain green metallic electric car appeared from the crossroads ahead. A high-class vehicle like this in your area could only be him. He parked across the street from you. You tilted your head, barely able to make out his silhouette. He was fidgeting with something, and then he left it. He was carrying a small blue box in his left hand, and under his right arm was a paper tube? What the hell did he buy? You groaned and walked up to your apartment door, waiting for the ring. With a smile, you answered over the intercom. "Hello? Amazon!" blurted Deku's voice over the speaker. You snorted. He sounded more chipper than his texts indicated. You're not sure of that was a good sign. You pressed the button to let him inside, and then opened the door, waiting for him as he ascended the stairs. You could hear the rustling of paper, probably the tube, and his keychain that was loosely hanging on his belt. "Hey there!" he shouted as he entered your hallway. "What the hell is all this?" you said with a concerned expression. No hellos?" he asked, sounding more desperate than he intended. "Hello, darling." "Sarcasm!" he hushed out of breath. "That's a good start for a conversation." With a smile, you let him inside. Immediately he darted for your old sofa. A fake leather thing that someone had thrown out a year ago. You just stitched up a tear in the seat, and it was as good as new. There he placed down the paper tube and opened it up. It was a flower. An orchid. In your favorite color. I thought this would put some color in your life," he said with an awkward hum as he looked around. "Oh hey, you cleaned your place for once." You scratched your chin in embarrassment. "And what the hell does that mean?" Izuku blushed hard in response, as you walked up to him and sat down. "She's lovely," you said as you looked at the plant. It was so healthy and alive. You would look up how to take care of it later. Looking at Deku, his lips were quivering. I also got you something else." You tilted your head as he proceeded to offer you the small blue box. "What is this?" "Open it up." You placed the box on the table and gently lifted the lid. Your eyes widened, and you gasped. It was a sapphire necklace. "How? What? You were awestruck. This thing must have been more expensive than your entire wardrobe combined. You were so dumbfounded you almost didn't notice him leaning forward, gently lifting the necklace up and draping it around your neck. With a perplexed face, you took hold of the necklace's center sapphire. "Izuku," you spoke softly. "This is too much." It's not it. It really isn't." You blinked, looked right into his eyes. "But, no buts. It's the least I can do." You sighed happily. And quietly you enjoyed each other's company. Until he cuddled up with you, showering you with gentle kisses. You groaned happily, giving yourself to him. So, I was wondering, what am I to you? A girlfriend? An occasional fling? You asked with a mischievous smile. He didn't answer immediately. At least not until he took your hand. You sighed and looked at his ring. He paused, confused for a moment, until he followed your gaze. "Before you say anything, or I say anything," you said, "can you answer my question? Does she still wear hers?" Sure, the moment had now been ruined, but then he did something you did not expect. He just stood up. "Do you wanna come out with me for a moment?" You blinked. Sure?" You put on your leather jacket while he slipped back into the shoes he kicked off when he came in. As you stepped outside, you first were confused as the two of you walked past his car. And quietly the two of you wandered until you reached a nearby shipyard by the water, where you wandered onto a pier. The wind was strong here, the waves looking heavy, uninviting, and the sun was slowly moving past onto the horizon, drowning the scene in a beautiful orange twilight as night would soon come. Why did we go out here? You said with a concerned smile. She hasn't worn her ring in 3 months. He looked at you and then down at the water. It's somewhere in her nightstand, I think. He fidgeted with his hands as he pulled off his wedding ring. For a moment he held it up, looking intently at its shine. Izuku? You were concerned. It sounded like he was about to do something really stupid. And without warning, he took a step back. Texas! The air around him crackled with energy, and he took a cautious step backwards. Throw down! The air exploded with the release of a powerful throw at 100% strength of his quirk's power. The ring, as quick as a bullet, flew beyond the crashing waves. And then the man fell on his knees, breathing heavily, tears streaming down his face. You sat down next to him, embracing him, gently planting soft kisses onto his skin. I love you, you whispered. You just said that for the first time ever in your life. You couldn't believe it yourself. Izuku's eyes widened with shock, his head twisting to look at you, mouth twitching, heart fluttering, face flushed with emotions. Finally, he said, clear and soft, I love you too.